want to explore all this first before we do that. I was told that we had it all figured out, and I was like, okay, great, that's what we want. And not so much. But if we just talk loud, right? Can everyone hear me in the audience? Okay.
Yeah, they'll hear us fine.
It's
Till someone speaks here.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Who worked on that system before? Y'all hired somebody to work on that. I don't know if anybody was here then or.
I just got the information to find out who did, so we'll be contacting them
Okay.
All right.
for the invoice.
So good afternoon and welcome to the Fort Meade City Commission Budget Workshop Day 3, Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. We're going to call this meeting to order, starting with our roll call from our city clerk.
Vice Mayor Shell,
Present.
Commissioner McCutcheon,
Present.
Mayor Varian,
Present.
Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Watts.
Here.
All right, and we're going to move on to commission business. Item 1, City Commission tentative review of wages and benefits. Mr. Brown.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the commission, staff, public, we're gonna, before we get to start item number 1, well, we can go down the agenda. We're gonna have staff come up and walk us through this tentative review of wages. Turn this over to Ms. Jennifer Young.
So that is an item that me and Brianna spoke about this morning, late morning. It was gonna need to be put on hold. She still isn't finished. She's on the teams now. It still isn't finished. Brianna,
Hello.
Brianna, can you hear us?
while we're waiting for that, I do have an update.
I think your mic is muted.
On a subject that we discussed yesterday.
Brianna?
Messenger? You sent her a message?
Yes, ma'am.
As you were saying, Jennifer?
Yes, sir. I do have an update on a subject that we touched yesterday. The Sheriff's Department. Steve Doyle was kind enough. He heard the meeting yesterday and sent me an email this afternoon stating the generator that was mounted on the building, it's outdated and unrepairable. They donated a mobile generator and wired it directly to the building, and it solved that problem. The generator maintenance company tested and verified that the generator was working. They did this in June. Other requests from the sheriff's office: lighting inside and out, trimming trees, parking lot, trimming the trees in the parking lot. Electric took care of those issues as well. The DOT lighting, when it comes to that, the county is including in their budget to have the traffic signal replaced and a cabinet built in with a generator inside of it. So everything that we discussed yesterday was answered.
Thank you.
Jennifer, Brianna is going to start restart her computer and then try to get back on.
Just for your information, I did talk to the sheriff yesterday.
does lose money here, so I'll make sure I have that correct.
Yes, sir, thank
I want everybody to know that. He lives here now, so he has a big interest in this town, so.
you. Yes, sir. I can go ahead and read our key items if you guys are okay with that while we're waiting on Brianna.
Smile with me.
The first department that we're gonna do is the legislative department. And the key items for that department, $65,000 was allocated for the contract services, including $5,000 monthly for the Griffin Group and $5,000 for the Muna Creative website services. $4,500 was budgeted for travel and per diem to support the FLC conference attendance, $900 per participant. $16,850 was designated for the July 4th event, reflecting 25,000 annual reoccurring rate, $4,350 late postponement fee, and 12,500 deposit on the account. Those numbers are accurate. I made sure that I sent Brianna the accurate numbers yesterday after the meeting. $3,000 is reserved for subscriptions and memberships, including $850 for FLC, $500 for the Florida Bridge League of Cities, $575 for Florida Black Caucus, $192 for Zoom, and $144 for the Gannett Media. $2,750 was allocated for training to cover the FLC conference registration at $550 per participant, and no capital outlay requested was submitted at this time. It does look like she added $5,000 budgeted for the aid to private organizations, $12,500 allocated for chamber, $15,000 designated for the Help of Fort Meade, and $12,500 for Main Street. That's it, that's it.
Thank you, Jennifer. I think I stated it, earlier this week in regards to the aid to private organizations. Okay, and one of the things that, what my take is this. I know we talked about it, addressed the aid to private organizations, and what they offer, and as a means and ways for them to come forward, present, how funds will be used. Given the state of affairs currently, with our budget and considering we have so much to do, with restricted funds, I'll put it that way. It's unfortunate, but I feel as though at this time, this year, this budget year, upcoming budget year, that it may be necessary to take a closer look at how we do aid to private organizations. I feel as though we do this body does need to create a plan of how individuals are selected to receive aid, and not just because this is the way that we've always done it. Certainly there are more organizations in our city who also would like to receive aid from the city, but as we know, we cannot aid every organization that comes up for a request. So I don't know if entertaining or considering, not entertaining, considering perhaps a system for how this aid to organization is given out, coming up with a point system, perhaps coming up with the criteria that we would like as a city to see how those organizations are benefiting the residents in the city. We can set the criteria. If they meet the criteria with, say for instance, we allot $40,000 annually for this aid to private organizations, kind of like a lottery. Individuals submit their goals and objectives, how they're going to use the funding. This board takes a look at it, we grade that organization, or perhaps, a lottery is done. We just, if they meet the criteria that they can apply, then we do a lottery, we pull names, and that's how the aid is divvied out. I don't know if that's best practices or not, because what I don't want to continue to do is hand out funds to some and exclude others, which I think traditionally that has been done this way. And just from speaking to some individuals in other organizations, they didn't apply because they didn't feel as though they could. Because anytime that they'd asked in the past, it was always, no, we don't do that. But clearly we do. So I feel like if we can't do it for all, maybe we shouldn't do it for any. That's just my take on it.
So with that, aid to private organizations is a different line item than the others. I want to differentiate that. What we have in aid to private organizations is what we use to give people who normally walk up and request and make those donations or request a donation. But in addition to what Commissioner McCutcheon was saying is we should have some type of policy around how we give the subsidies, such as what we give to a Help of Fort Meade. And historically, and I think it would behoove us to make sure when we do the policy, there are certain organizations that are tied to the city by their operation, by their bylaws. For instance, in every city there is a chamber. It functions hand in hand. You see what I'm saying? Now, Main Street is directly tied to a city because in its bylaws, in order to function as a main street, you have to have a contribution from the city. If those bylaws aren't met, then they don't meet the criteria for being a main street. And then the services that a main street would bring that into play. Help of Fort Meade historically has always provided a service to the city, which the city directly benefits from what the Help of Fort Meade does.
Does anybody here sit on the chamber board on this commission?
No, and they've always requested, not necessarily someone from the commission, but a representative of the city.
Yeah.
To participate in all of
That's
those.
pretty common.
Correct, but no one on this chamber sits.
I think in the past, the city manager or the assistant city manager.
The finance, I remember, I think Mel Parker participated when he was here, he was a finance director. Other designated people like that,
I did once.
Oh, the chamber? Okay. When we had the library board, I know the both of us did at some point with the library board, that was dissolved.
Does the city have anybody right now that does that?
No. There is representation on the Main Street board, however, there is no representation, to my knowledge, on the Help of Fort Meade board, which they all requested to have someone present. So it is a desire to have someone from the city to sit on those boards, but it hasn't always been there.
So are those the boards that you think that are VIP?
Say that again.
Board, are those the boards that are VIP? Main Street Board, Chamber, Help of Fort Meade? Are those the three?
Well, in the Historical Society. And that's why there was the controversy on yesterday as to why Historical Society was excluded from that list. But we definitely we would benefit from a policy around that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I've heard from two of y'all, haven't heard from the other three. Maybe we could just have a little bit of conversation about it, because it looks like you need a policy.
Yeah.
I call it whatever you want, external agency funding, you know, or whatever, that you designate certain organizations that you hold near and dear, this board, change with another board, but who you currently want. I would say that as things progress here in the future, you know, you'll probably get a hotel, a couple hotels, those kinds of things. And so then you'll start, those funds could be used to fund the chamber and tourism and those kinds of things.
Correct.
You know, as you grow the city. And so you can come up with a pot and say, look, here's our fund, we're gonna fund this fund, $50,000, and you know, these folks will either divide up or you receive requests before, I would say probably before August 30th. Because it gives us enough time to put it in the budget for next year and kind of get an idea of how much is out there. And then, you know, in terms of ranking and that type of thing, you know, you start doing that, you start putting stuff on yourself that you can. You know, you want a policy that just says $50,000 commission designates. You start doing too much, and then, you know, for example, I hear these terms confused all the time. I'm a 501c3, right? That's tax deductibility. It has nothing to do with the legal organization of a company or a private organization. And so, you know, the chamber is not a 501c3, but they might have a division that is 501c3. They have sharp stuff going on. So we have to be very careful when we craft this policy, because you might exclude the chamber by accident and say it's got to be a not-for-profit, because they're not a not-for-profit. You know, they are different. And so, you know what? I like doing stuff like this. I'm going to create a policy based on what I'm hearing and see what, and bring it back to another meeting that you guys can look at it and say, we need to do this, we need to change this, we need to. But I think I understand, you got certain ones you want to fund every year. You only want to use a block, $40,000. And then they can divide it up if you but you get all these little league guys that come in, right? You can't forget them, right? And see, they might not have status, you know, like with the IRS, because we're talking. But some of those buildings are well managed, and well funded, and so, you know, depends on who you're funding. So that's why I say don't do too much in terms of point systems and that kind of thing, because then you can end up ruling out somebody else who's like, these folks need the money. Can't do it because of the policy. So I'll put something together that you guys can look at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
We'll go to the next department, that's gonna be city manager department, and you can go ahead.
I wasn't. So, in the training aspect, there are classes that we as commissioners should be attending. They're called IEMO classes. That comes with a fee.
Yeah.
However, that is not supported in this, or is it?
You know, it's probably not, because everything I just heard her say is not.
Correct.
You definitely want to add EMO in there as an alternative. What EMO stands for, this too, elected officials, municipal elected officials. And it is the short course on training for elected officials. There's only one organization in the state of Florida that's doing that for the cities.
Correct.
And I recommend that.
It's a very good program. I went to all the emails.
Recommend you do it. Once you get it out the way, then you're good. It's not like you're going to go every year.
You make a lot of contacts with them. You do that in this one.
It's 1 and 2, I think. That was 1 and 2.
Right.
So I would like to see that added.
Okay, Brianna, we're ready for the next, the city manager. She's trying to talk. I'm maybe our volume's not up now. Okay, sorry about that. So for the city manager's department, we have a few key items to discuss. The city manager's salary is $130,000 is the top, with a rate of 20% increase, which was recommended by your current interim city manager. So the budget reflects an estimated 7-month tenure during the fiscal year to accommodate the city manager hiring process and an onboarding timeline. So the initial $91,000 represents a partial year of service. There's $5,000 budgeted for professional services, which should include your background screenings and drug testing during the hiring process. This is an increased amount above what you would normally see, but I know that when you do your background checks for your city managers, they're generally more detailed than your standard check, and they are more costly. So we have increased that amount, and also in case you have to do that on more than one candidate. There's $55,000 set aside for contract services to support the interim city manager at $10,000 a month for 5 months. And an additional $5,000 in that line item as well beyond just his contract services. There's $54,500 planned for travel and per diem that includes the $2,000 monthly for your interim city manager. There's $2,000 additional travel and $2,500 allocated for ICMA and Florida League of City Conference attendance. There's $4,850 included in the vehicle allowance, and this was based on your historical monthly rate of, bi-weekly rate of the $184.62. There's $2,000 reserved for subscriptions and memberships, which include the ICMA and FCCMA. There's $1,500 designated to training costs, also associated with the ICMA and Florida League of Cities conference registration. And that brings us to the end of this department. Some of these items for the ICMA, the FCCMA, and the Florida League of Cities were estimated based on what we know today, although some of the membership fees and things like that are different based on how long the person's been a city manager and been a part of the association, how large the city is, and that type of thing. So we estimated those based on the information we had available.
Could you explain at travel and per diem? In 24-25, it was at 7,000 allotted, but in the 25-26, it's projected 54,500.
Yes. So your travel,
And I might have read it wrong.
that includes $2,000 monthly for your interim city manager as a part of his contract for 5 months. Your additional $2,000, and then the $2,500 for the ICMA and the Florida League of Cities.
There's a typo.
Okay, so
Oh, but I see an issue there. I see an issue. There's an issue in my formula. I'm correcting it in real time. It's gonna drop to 14,500. I'm sorry about that.
now,
That's why I was checking it in real time. So I'll update that. I highlighted it in yellow to go back to it. Thank you for catching that.
but my question is, past the interim status, do those things, let's say these conferences happen, I don't know when they actually take place, for the permanent city manager, would they?
The conference that she's talking about will happen in October after this, the fiscal year we're
Gotcha.
talking about. And so, what sometimes paid for
Ahead.
this
Okay.
fiscal year.
All right, I just want to make sure that if Mr. Brown's here, he wants to attend, he attends, but if he's not here, the other individual.
Well,
Whoever.
I can make it clear. Hopefully, I'm still here.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm paying for it out of my own pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't need the city's money to do that conference because my company will pay for it.
Gotcha.
But-
Okay.
But it'll be there for the permanent city manager and they can use that.
You answered my question.
I would say that the Florida League of Cities, that's up to the council, that person goes there, but if you're hiring a professional manager, they will only need to go to ICMA, FCCMA,
Yeah.
which is affiliated with Florida League of Cities.
Yeah, because they had some meetings there this
Yeah,
past.
well, we don't meet with Florida League of Cities folks, they're the same people.
All right. Any other questions? All right, next, line item. Or subject, or assistant city manager.
So the next one I see is the assistant city manager.
Is this been treated as its own department? And has it always been that way? Okay,
Well, when we hired. Yes.
okay,
This is what I was talking about, you guys need to really focus on the strategic plan because
Mhm.
it will inform the council establishing departments, and then it'll help the finance department. This is back office stuff.
mm-hmm, correct.
So don't get hung up on, it's, a city manager is not its own department.
All
Right,
right.
right.
It's treated for this purpose, instead of going through the line item budgets, so that's what it looks like.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Historically, before the more detailed departments were established, there was some more detailed departments that were established in 2019. Whenever Ms. Judd was the city manager, there were where we split out the executive department that used to be HR and the city manager and the deputy city clerk. She requested at that time that the executive department be split to show the city manager, deputy city clerk, and HR separately. And in the department that used to be just 515, that was code enforcement and planning together. Those two were also split out into separate departments since they do different functions. And at that time, I believe those were all of the departments that were split out, but over the years, when you added an assistant city manager, that was created in its own department. And then the community support department was created as a sub-department of the regular support department. Other than that, I don't recall off the top of my head any other sub-departments like that were created, but that process started back in 2019.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. For the assistant city manager, there is $1,050 budgeted for travel and per diem. That's to support attendance at the FCCMA conference. $300 allocated under subscriptions and memberships for an Adobe license. $800 is reserved for training for the FCCMA conference, and there were no capital outlay requests at this time.
Any questions? Move on to legal.
We're ready, Brianna.
Next department.
Yes, legal counsel.
For legal, there's no major changes in this department other than the request to continue your contract with Ms. Smith. She has requested a $200,000 budget, and this was a reduction from your current rate of $20,000. And she said that she would draft some details for the commission about that to let you know what that reduction was for. And she had no capital outlay request at this time.
Okay, thank you. Deputy City Clerk.
For your deputy city clerk, there is budgeted $1,200 for travel and per diem to attend the FACC training and to conferences, including the travel and lodging and meals associated with that. $600 in communication and internet for a city cell phone. $600 for subscriptions and memberships for the IIMC membership and Adobe license. $2,475 in training to attend the FACC training and 2 other conferences, and she had no capital outlay request at this time.
All right, anything in addition? No?
Well, not now, but
Okay.
I have spoken with the clerk about a number of issues, because the deputy clerk has other responsibilities. She's certified as a coordinator for planning, code enforcement, and some other things, so we might have to make some adjustments here. We haven't had a chance to meet yet, but we'll come back to the council.
Okay.
I'll have more information for you.
For your human resources department, the department had requested an addition of 1 full-time employee as an HR assistant, and I believe there's some internal discussion about that that staff may speak to while we're on this department. There's $15,000 in contract services, which covers Certipay, WageWorks, DocuSign. In your current budget year that you're in right now, there was some additional contract services, but that was for temporary help that was in place before your new director was onboarded, and that's not expected to recur in the next fiscal year. There was no funding included for disaster expenditures. There was a request for $10,000 in employee reward and recognition to sponsor Recognition Week, Christmas party, an appreciation event, and an employee newsletter. $700 for subscriptions and memberships that cover Job Match and Adobe. The director also requested $4,000 for risk management software, but that is not included in your budget at this time. That would be considered an unmet need. There's $2,000 in training for HR and risk management, but the department head had requested $5,000. We were unable to provide that additional amount. And there's no funding included for capital machinery and equipment. The department head had requested a smaller laptop than, I guess, the one that was provided, but we were unable to fulfill that request at this time.
The laptop or the device, is that a nice to have, or is that something we need?
Well, it's big.
It's huge. But that was a wish list item. It's not a must have. I bought a new bag. I'll lug that heavy thing around as longer. Okay. It's okay.
It was spec'd out by Data Integrity, and they're real IT people, so they want a 17-inch screen and power, that kind of thing. But we don't need to buy something like this most of the time. It'd be something we can get away with.
Smaller.
Smaller than what I see here, and cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say we have to err on the side of caution because we're not IT professionals. But I think that we could, as we move forward, spec out something different. This is what everyone has. If you look around the table, everybody's got these huge laptops.
The question I do have for our HR director, on the request for an assistant, that individual you need, will they assume the role and responsibilities of risk management? Because I know you're filling a couple of roles.
Yes. No, ma'am. Primarily, actually, we intend it to be, though it will primarily support HR. It will also provide backup support for the other areas on the executive team. So like help Nicole with her lift when she's doing agenda packets and stuff like that. So it'll only be about 80% human resources, and then 20% the individual would aid deputy city clerk, the city manager's office, and the finance team. And it will be primarily HR functions, not risk management, unless I find someone with a deep background in insurance, managing the insurance policies, then I'd reconsider that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for Ms. Gloria? All right, thank you.
Our next department is listed as finance. In your system, it's called the accounting department. It's department number 5.301. In this department, we've allocated $245,150 in salaries and wages, including finance director salary at $125,000, and that was recommended by your interim city manager. There's retirement and flex benefits that were increased to accommodate the new employee. $800 in subscriptions and memberships for notary and Adobe licenses. $1,000 in training with no increase based on historical activity in that line item. And there were no capital outlay requests at this time.
My question regarding the 125 is there a rule of thumb, and this might be for Ms. Gloria, as to the separation of pay, so to speak? If you have a city manager who we have in, I think, at 130, is there a rule of thumb of separation of pay from city manager to those who the individual manage?
There isn't a rule of thumb, so to speak. There are best practices.
Okay.
But those best practices have to be tempered by the organization's financial ability to bridge the gap between the compensation of your higher paid employees, like a director of finance, and your city manager. If we hired in a city manager at 130.
Oh, I didn't even need the microphone. That tells you how loud my mouth is. If we hired in a city manager at $130,000, which I understand that's what we're striving for, whether that'll happen or not, we'll see, then I certainly could not recommend hiring a director of finance close or over that. And so we did not advertise for over that, but I would caution the commission to not be surprised if we can't find an appropriate director of finance at the max of what we've advertised.
Yeah. Let me just add on to that, because right now, the hardest position to recruit in a municipal government is finance director. Okay? Because this is not the position you just put somebody in there to fill a void.
Correct.
Right now, there is no financial forecasting happening in this town.
Mhm.
There are a number of things that are not happening, and work is not being directed properly. Okay, There's no treasurer really trying to tell you where to put this at for water prime, commercial paper. None of that exists. There's no debt management policy. There are a number of financial policies that don't exist in the city, and you need someone that understands the full suite of what to do in a finance department, municipal finance department here in Florida. Okay,
Yeah.
So city manager is easy to find. It's much easier than certain positions. My first city manager job, the fire chief made more than me, and it wasn't because they were more qualified. They had been there for a very long time. Okay, and so you do have organizations that the certain department heads, they do make more. Okay, fire chief is one of them. Now our fire chief is different because he's fire suppression. He doesn't do the other stuff, the EMS and all that. But in other departments, the fire chief, the police chief, those folks would probably make more.
Okay.
So, and we got to look at where we're at. Driving time to Tampa and Orlando, to me, I think that's where you're competing with them. And And so you have to come with a hybrid approach. It's gotta be something. So, you know, most folks at the senior management level in a city, they negotiate, and once they're done negotiation, it doesn't matter what happened because that's what they negotiated.
Gotcha.
So they're not gonna go back in the city manager's office and say, well, I negotiated and they gave me 105, but I really want. That would be wrong because they should know what the market is whenever they go somewhere. And that's where they should be at. And so Zion, some of the top paid persons in the city aren't the city manager. They're like sergeants in the police and fire department. So
Okay.
I don't see a problem with it. It's negotiation. The person could come in lower.
Mm-hmm.
That person's got to negotiate. So a lot of times, folks negotiate other things, non-monetary things, time off, remote work. These things become more important than $130,000.
Gotcha. Thank you for that.
Well,
Anything further?
I have no question.
Okay. Code enforcement.
Next department is your code enforcement department. Personnel costs were revised to reflect only one full-time employee, which is your code enforcement officer. Some prior allocations included an assistant or temporary staffing, so we have removed that. $10,000 is allocated for demolitions. Building-related expenses in this department doubled for code enforcement. And the reason for that is that they no longer share the office space with the building and permits department. And so these affected lines include your building repairs and maintenance, liability insurance, and utilities. There's $1,500 budgeted for travel and per diem, which is a reduction in this line item because there's only going to be one person in this department. There is $2,300 projected for postage, and this is based on expected increases by the post office for a regular stamp cost. $1,800 reduced for fleet maintenance. I was looking into the GL history of this account, and there were a lot of non-recurring costs in that line item, so we should expect to see a pretty large decrease in actual maintenance. And there was no capital outlay request at this time for code enforcement.
I would say, although it probably, I don't know if it's appropriate to state or not at this time, but with this position that's currently vacant, I would like to suggest that in our search to fill this role, if the person doesn't already come with the necessary credentials to perform the duties, and we decide to assist them with becoming credentialed, that we have something in writing that states they are committed to working so many years if we invest in them and acquiring them to obtain their certifications.
is this code enforcement you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so code enforcement, it does not have a state it's not like police officer, it's not state mandated.
Okay.
So the training that you would require a code enforcement officer would be recommended training. And that training hasn't changed. I used to work in code enforcement for many years.
Okay.
It's what we call Florida Association of Code Enforcement levels 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
And you see that routinely in the job descriptions in Florida, but in
Yes.
South Florida,
Yes,
you'll see where it says that, if they come on board with it, then that's one thing. But if they don't come on board with it, then, there's a commitment, Now, what comes up is enforceability, how are you going to enforce it, and because I know that we can't deduct it out of their last paycheck, right? So there's some rules around it, but we definitely can get them to sign up and make affirmations that, hey, we pay for this certification for you.
Right.
We expect you to be here for 2 years, so I think that's something to look at. And I think that we can make our best faith efforts you know, to encourage that, you know, and then hopefully we do a good job. The person gets stuck here, like I call it. They stay forever because the training is important.
Right.
And when folks feel they're getting trained properly and they feel part of the organization, they'll stay. So I like that because the person that comes in knows that, hey, if we train you, I think that's good. I think we can get Gloria to work on.
Yeah, and we had talked about that in the past about any time the city actually assists in obtaining these things, that there's some type of commitment um, to those things.
Yeah.
However, we haven't been doing it here lately, to my knowledge. But in those instances, that they should be able to meet whatever that best practices is.
You could have a policy, you know, like in when I started my career, it was in Escambia County. It was hard to get people to work in Pensacola, Florida, and so we had this policy called the Grow Your Own concept. And what it does, it allows for you to take someone that lives in Fort Lee or the surrounding areas. In this case, it's the county, and you can make that investment because you're getting a twofer. The person now lives there, they work there, you know, and that's a policy decision that you can make where we have to incorporate that. And I think it's good. I think it's a good, especially like for most positions in the city, because the majority of the positions in the city, they're not the city manager or the finance director. And so I think that would be good for this community.
Thank you.
How is that search coming? Pardon me?
Sorry.
Hold on
Go
a
ahead.
second. Go ahead, Brianna.
There was a policy in the employee handbook regarding employees that were provided training that was paid for by the city. They were required to work for the city for a certain period of time. I can't recall if it was 1 year or 2 years beyond when it was paid.
It's
but
2
it's
years.
in the handbook.
Oh, okay.
It's still there.
Oh, okay.
You can enforce it, and it's 2 years is a time that they say that if you work in the place 2 years, that's enough time to have tendered a service in the city.
Yes.
So we get that 2 year term. It's really, it comes from the International City Managers Association here all the time. So.
Now, Commissioner Scow had a question.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Councilman.
How's the search coming for a code enforcement officer?
We have interviews scheduled tomorrow.
Awesome.
I'm just curious, we haven't had one for quite some time. So.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we have them scheduled for tomorrow. I think 3 people were interviewing tomorrow.
Good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
How many total applications did you have?
I don't know. I'm just only. Yeah.
There were only 10, and out of that 10, there were 2 strong and 2 maybes. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Go ahead. Oh, I thought you said I have one. And library.
For your libraries, you have a few key items. To begin with, salaries and wages reflect your current staffing, but I want to bring to your attention the director did request a part-time position, and we were unable to add that to the budget at this time, so that needs to be noted as an unmet need. There's no funding allocated for contract services, and that was per your director's guidance. She said the original budget amount and the budget that you're in right now will not be needed again in the future. There's no funding for disaster expenditures. There's $1,000 for supplies for special events. And this is based on an average of what was used in 2024 and in 2025 so far. $1,000 in subscriptions and memberships, and this is to pay for the Tampa Bay Library Consortium and a movie license with the Polk County Library Co-op. There's $35,000 in capital improvements, and this is for a new roof on the library. This also includes a $10,000 contingency for rotten wood and decking that may need to be replaced. I want to note that your director's original request was for $25,000. But historically, that roof has had leaks, and so there may be rotten decking and rotten wood up there. So I put a contingency in there in case you have to replace that. this was an issue on multiple buildings after Hurricane Irma that got re-roofed. And I remember that being an issue, so I didn't want that to be an issue in your upcoming budget. There's $3,000 in capital machinery and equipment. This is unassigned at this time. And there's $27,000 in capital materials. We reduced it to $25,000 for library materials, and that was at the recommendation of your director. A couple of additional notes about this department. There's $25,000 in capital outlay in your current budget for fiscal year 2025, and this was an unexpected expense. It was used to replace a 10-ton AC unit that was in the attic. $58,900 has been budgeted for the Polk County Library Cooperative Funding, and this is coming in as revenues from the Polk County Library Co-op. $57,000 is your regular co-op funding, and $1,900 is for your E-rate reimbursement for your hotspots. And there's $6,900 in library user fees budgeted for 2026, and this was based on your actuals for 2024 and your expected receipts for the year that you're in currently.
You mentioned the new roof. The government building, ain't gonna house a library. Excuse me.
Say that again.
The government building that we're building across from
The
Hancock
multi-purpose
Funeral.
building that's being.
Are they gonna, isn't that gonna house a new library?
Correct.
So why are we paying the money to put on a new roof when we're gonna replace it?
It come to my attention that the roof is over 20 years old.
Insurance purposes.
So I'm not sure what you plan to do with the building once you move, if you want to, restore it or, demolish it, it's up to you.
Well, I think that's something we ought to decide before we put a new roof on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, I know my insurance company told me my roof was 20 years old, and if I didn't get it replaced, they were gonna drop it. So I don't know if that comes into a factor or not, being that she's currently there, and what the time frame is between now and when you move.
Well, it's supposed to be completed, next year around June, isn't it? The government building?
It's supposed to be sometime in fall of 2026.
Yeah, fall of
Okay.
2026. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if that's something.
Well, until they say something,
Is it currently leaking or damage
It's
showing
not.
out?
I put it on here just as in case,
Okay.
Okay.
but I did want to make you aware.
There is- There's some damage on the north side of that building on the roof that hasn't been repaired. I saw it about 2 months ago. I mentioned it to Mr. Elise.
Mm-hmm.
There's some missing shingles.
I know when the inspector came, that he said that he didn't find any current leaks, pardon me. But if we wanted to go ahead and get a new roof, that's what was recommended.
Gotcha.
Well, our kids are there, right? And so let me do this. Give me an opportunity to take a look, okay? I own a house, so I know a little about roofing, and then let's see what we could do to either make minimal repairs or
Correct.
life safety repairs, which is the very minimum.
Yes.
Okay, because the kids are there, right? And staff. Or we replace the roof, but let's see what the cost is and let's see all that.
Yes.
Now the multi-purpose building library that we're discussing, we're gonna tear this building down and
What was discussed,
Okay.
the library was approved to be the new site for the fire department.
Okay, so
So
chief's
it will
they're
be
gonna
demoed.
occupy- I got it, okay.
So,
Oh, they're gonna demo the building. Okay,
Correct.
so we're gonna do what's minimally required.
correct.
If it's life safety issues, we're gonna address that, but
Well,
we're not gonna replace.
I totally agree with that, but my point is, if we're gonna tear it down in a
Yeah.
year and a half or so, I mean,
Yeah,
why put a new roof on it?
well,
I understand what you're saying
No,
too.
no, let me just kind of make sure we're clear here. I have spoken with the chief, and I understand that there's not enough money to build this fire station. There's a $2 million state appropriation, and there is no no bridge gap funding, or any of that, okay? So, that's gotta be identified, so that could take some time. And so what I was gonna do was contact Keaton Griffin, our lobbyist, and ask her, how long can we keep a state appropriation? You know, cause we'll make a request this coming year, but it might not be enough to build the fire station, so see how it could take 2 to 3 years.
Right.
So I'll work on some options, and trust me, this is not a 4 month, 5 month, this is a 2 day thing here.
Gotcha.
So
I would
tomorrow,
like to
I'll-
hear some
tomorrow.
verbiage on the exact needs needed in the
Yeah,
fire department
absolutely.
right now.
I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Say that again, the exact what?
The needs of a new fire department you need.
Okay.
Just up the budget and repairing and revitalizing this one.
Kylie,
Yes,
how is the, did you have a question? I'm sorry.
I didn't.
How is the, mobile hotspot program going?
it is going well.
Good.
I know we've had a few that haven't come back, but that is, oh, sorry. We've had a few that haven't come back, but that's kind of common with other libraries as well, but the program itself is doing very well.
Good. You requested 1,000 for special events. What are those special events?
So that's for our normal programming, so supplies for those, and then if we, like for our big truck day, our Christmas roundabout, and then our regular programming that we do every month.
And at one point they had a group of I don't know the correct way to call them, but they were stargazers. They would come set up and look.
We did have that at one point, but the past few times, between overtime and all of that, we had to kind of cut that, and then the past few times it had been cloudy. So, so it's kind of hard to predict the weather.
Did you get good involvement in it or
Yes.
interest?
Yes.
Me and my girls went. It was pretty cool. The other question I had, the part-time worker, how would you utilize that person?
So right now we're kind of bare bones. Right now I have a
So that's
part-time.
3 of you?
There's 3 of us.
It's you and 2.
One full-time and 1 part-time.
Gotcha.
The part-time's working mornings right now. We would like somebody in the afternoons. So that would help, like, in a case like this where I'm not there, somebody's by themselves in the afternoons. If I have a meeting or something like that, or if one of us is sick or is on leave for like vacation, it's just one person in the afternoons. And that raises concern for safety.
Gotcha. Now, is there a way to do like a as-needed person?
I'm not sure.
That would be, I guess, a question for Ms. Gloria. Or volunteers. Have you had anybody volunteer? And if you get volunteers, are they able to be counted in your number? Or do they have to be employed?
I know from my understanding, they would have to have a background check for adult volunteers. Right now, we do have teen volunteers that do help out after school.
But that you can't count them in your number. Okay.
They're underage.
Well, the reason why I say that is because I've been talking with her name eludes me. Someone who used to work at the library, who's not doing anything. So I've been trying to encourage her to get back active. So if a volunteer could actually count in that number.
That would be wonderful. We definitely need somebody in the afternoon.
Gotcha. Okay. That was it.
Yes, sir.
You know, I hate to say this, but let me just throw something out there. If we have folks that volunteer at City Hall, we need to run a background check on them. If they're gonna be in content sensitive areas, like public safety, like this library right over here, like the Parks Department. It's okay for them to pick up paper on the side of the road, but if they're gonna be in these libraries, places where these children would be at, we need to make sure that we run a background check. Now, I know Gloria's talking about a full field background check, but I'm talking, you know,
Level 2.
just to see a level 1, what their background is. That's it. That's all.
No, level 2.
We shouldn't
Level
just
2.
say,
Level 2.
You have to be
Polk
a
County
level 2.
Schools.
okay, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it
Requires
is.
level
I'm not
2.
the expert in it.
Yeah.
You know, we have, you know, one of the cities I was in, we banned the box, if you will, and so we allowed the volunteers to come. We found out that some of these guys should not be in our
Right.
park recreation program,
Right.
Mhm.
and we don't want to be in the front page of newspapers.
No, we don't.
Absolutely not.
No, we don't. Mm-mm.
Did you have something, Miss Gloria?
No.
I thought you was leaning forward to say something. Okay. All right. Moving on to multi-purpose facility.
I think that's what it's, your name is right by it. I mean, it says multi-purpose department, so I guess, okay, so here's the update on the multi-purpose facility. We have been discussing this item with Florida Commerce, which is the funders of the money, right? And also Bodum, which is who the council selected and awarded the contract to. We have not signed a contract with Bodum Construction, and it has been going on since I've been here, and we've been pressing them through email and other means to get the contract across the finish line so we can get the mayor to sign it and all that. That's not happened yet. We've been trying to also confirm the dates with Florida Commerce because they've had some turnover there. And I've sent an email to a gentleman named Paul Wotherspoon. Sounds like Witherspoon, but it's Wotherspoon. And I have not heard yet, but we're going to follow up with them. Yesterday, when I was on Zoom, I stepped out the frame because I was speaking with a gentleman named Teska. He's one of the principals with Bodum Construction. And what he informed me was that he felt that they can make the timetable because right now, what is at issue is we got to sign this contract so we can get a mobilization date. And the grant deadlines have to coincide with the deadlines for the final construction of the
Yes.
building. Because like I said, we can't even do this unless we have the money from, because there's no money to build this thing without it. And so we're in the right contract.
Okay.
I had someone look at this contract for free. Okay, it didn't cost the city of Fort Meade anything but a person that does this all over the country. And what they told me was that it was a great contract, but the time frames might be an issue because there's some gaps with respect to, you know, the city being able to interject. You know, the librarian is going to be involved, and so if she requests some changes or things like that, it could throw off the substantial completion date. So this is something I've been paying attention to personally. I'll be giving routine updates. The next update will be September 8th, if not earlier via email. I'll email you, yay, and I'm sure the mayor he'll say because he'll have to sign this contract. But it's being professionally reviewed. We're waiting on them to amend the dates in the actual agreement. But it's a good contract. You're in the right contract. It's a design build contract, guaranteed maximum price, construction manager at risk. So it's the right contract. It's just that the timeline doesn't coincide right now with the grant deadlines. So that's the only change they're waiting on them to make. And once they make it, we'll have it ready for you to sign.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions regarding that? So, let me ask this, as you mentioned about design and that our librarian would be having input. At what point is that design phase or should that have already been completed?
Okay, so I don't know, but here's what normally happens. Before you even go down that road, you've had some community meetings on what you want to see on that site. Okay, so the community would come in, they would have concept plans. These are very inexpensive plans that are done by an architect. It might
That's
not.
what I think I've seen before.
Okay,
Is that
good.
okay?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. That's what you
So
need
if
to.
Callie, could you come back up? And forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong.
It's Kylie.
Kylie, I said Callie, but I'm sorry, Kylie. So are you satisfied with what we have? What you've seen so far?
So what I've seen so far, something that I recommended was a specific teen room and a kids room, which wasn't in the conceptual design. That's something we definitely need,
Okay.
to have a specific space for those age groups. But other than that, it looks okay to me.
And you know, she'll be at every meeting and she'll be able to do that. Now, I would say that it depends on what we put out in RFP. Okay, because the RFP is tied to the contract.
Yes.
And so they're like the same thing. You know, the timetables in the RFP have to coincide what's in the contract and what we stated we wanted in the RFP. So if we didn't talk about a team room, then that's not that they can't put it in. I just think that the timetable
Will be adjusted.
that has to be adjusted, and it's gotta be able to meet this substantial completion date of what we believe to be October 31st. Okay, and then because Commerce is expecting invoices from us between November and December, I'm told that it takes about 30 to 45 days to close out a project. So we're really close on the timetable. What's not in this schedule is time for staff to insert and say, okay, because there's gonna be furniture, fixtures, and equipment that somebody needs to make a decision on, you know, like every week, you know. And so there's no room for, it's like,
Don't get sick.
it's like,
Take off. Or if you do, I know. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Brown, did you, yeah, I believe you said you talked to the contractor yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Did he give you any reason why they haven't signed the contract yet?
Well, you know, I have my reasons. I can tell you what I think, why. They're a new contractor. You know, so when you look at their website and you see the kind of projects they've done, they work with Turner Construction, and Turner gave them a contract, but they've never been, this is the biggest project I think they've ever done. Okay, so, and that doesn't mean they can't do it, okay? It doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong, but these are the things that you have to do now. Here's what, if we had to go back in time, you know, in a time ship, spaceship, this is how we would have done it. We would have hired an owner's representative, and what that, they pay for the project, but it's someone who represents your interests, because right now, this $3.6 million project is being managed by Amy, okay? And I'm not saying that Amy is not doing a good job, but what she conveyed to me was something that I already knew. You can't have 21 projects and have someone that's never built a building deal with your city future project. We normally hire somebody to deal with that. And so we're gonna, you know, at first, you know, I thought that maybe we could use CPH. That's, they're already engineering firm with you, but they got all the work in the town, okay? And when I say all the work, they're no, I'm saying they have all the work in the city, because they're not, they're an engineering firm on this project.
They were mid-tower, so that's the difference. They may not recognize that name.
Thank you.
Oh, they were
I was about to
Oh,
say.
okay.
prior to June.
Listen, I'm sitting here
They
thinking,
changed
what
their name.
is?
So
Okay.
mid-tower is who he's referring
Okay.
to.
Okay.
They changed their name. They were sold.
Okay. No, well, that's good information for you to have, because I didn't
Yeah,
know
because
that.
when you hit me with that, I'm like,
Yeah.
They didn't know what you were talking
Yeah,
about.
but, CPH, yeah, so CPH is they do plenty of work already.
Yeah.
So I wanna know, how are they gonna be part of the engineering design team for the multi-purpose center, and who's gonna, we can use them to review this project to make sure that it's, you're getting what you're doing, so, but I'm gonna handle that. I'm gonna handle it. The problem is, you only got $4,026,000 in this project. There is no more money in this project. The grant administrator's already been retained at EcoStrata. We had a kickoff meeting on August 12th. And so things are moving. So first thing we gotta do, we gotta get this thing signed up quickly. And then we might need to bring somebody in to every month, make sure that everything's going. So I think we're gonna have Amy and Kylie at the progress meetings once we get started, because somebody from the city needs to be there. The fear I have is that when they start getting into design development and schematic design, we don't want our folks sitting there saying, what are they talking about? You understand what I'm saying?
yes.
You see, so program management is different than project management and understanding how to construct a one of these. And so that's the only thing I would have done, but I think that it's a good project.
I brought that up a long time ago, that we needed a project manager in the city on it.
It's 21, you have 21 projects in the city right now. at varying stages. And so the program part of it is not the issue, like having a program person. It's knowing the details of
Knowing it.
like, you know,
So in
tilt
times-
up or
Yeah,
you
I
know,
understand.
concrete block construction, whatever.
So with that being said, can someone like that just be hired from the city perspective
Yeah.
and not
It
don't
can't,
have to go through
well, no,
the money,
well, that's how we want to pay for it. We-
scholarship
We would, a perfect world, we would pay
Pay for
that
it.
person through that $4 million.
through
Yeah,
the
And so,
yeah.
so that's the goal, you know, but right now, there's no more money in the project because it's already been,
Gotcha.
you know, because once we sign this contract, this contractor gets the whole entire 3.6. The remaining part of it, the 300 whatever thousands left, goes to Eco Strata. And so it's already, that's it. But I am working on an alternative plan
Okay.
on how we can get someone to at least look at certain things throughout the phases. I like this contract because if they sign it, all we need to do is pay attention to the schedule. That's it, because the schedule is going to drive the train.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all we need to do.
Okay.
That's all we need to do. Have someone pay attention to the schedule and understand, and be in the room with Kylie and Amy. So when they say, well, we're doing tilt up or we're doing CBS, you see, there's a difference. You see, and if they say the wrong thing, we might get an inferior product but pay the same amount of money, because what the gentleman told me at our design meeting was that they are not self-performing any work. So you got to have some money there, and we're working on that. And I'll update you, but rest assured that this is going to be settled in a couple of weeks. We'll know all the details in the next couple of weeks.
All right. If nothing further. Customer service.
Question while we're on the multi-service department.
Mm-hmm.
So while we were preparing the budget, Miss Amy had mentioned to me that she was going to use $155,000 from the grant money from that CDBG grant that is funding the multipurpose center, to be used as the matching funds portion on the Tampa General Hospital grant for the fitness court. But a few minutes ago, your interim city manager said all of that money was spoken for, and I didn't hear any mention of the $155,000, and all that is in the same department here.
Well, that's what the contract says. The contract says $3.6 million, and it kind of breaks out what the differences are. Here's what I can say. I don't know if it's a cash match or if it's an income match. I'm sure you can tell me what that is. Okay, so there's another funding source. It's called RIF. We talked about it briefly, and so that's the money that's going to be used to deal with it. It comes from Florida Commerce.
And that's gonna be for the $155,000 match.
Yes, it's in an amendment that we just,
It's going through the process right now.
going through the process.
Okay, so, this fitness, court is supposed to be, located on 9th Street, and your funding source is $50,000 from the National Fitness Campaign from TGH, and then the $155,000 match. And both of those projects are attached to the multi-purpose department.
And it should take place in this fiscal year.
This fiscal.
I mean, the one we're talking about, FY26.
Question, what happens if we don't get the grant of 155?
We can't do it. And right now, we're in a holding pattern with Florida Commerce. They've had some turnover there, so we're not getting it back.
I was worried about going too far
Well,
and then not get the grant.
I was going to use a bad example of what happens. Can't do the project, if that's the case, but we need to figure this out. Right now, we have time, so we need to budget for it, right? Because a budget is just a series of price tags. It's not a financial statement, right? It's not cut and dry. Okay, so let's let's, see what happens. Sometimes you're gonna have to make decisions, right? Or entrust staff to update you. And I know how significant, all of these projects are. I saw them, and I've talked to a few of you, and I know that they're all mission critical and they're all city future projects. They're not being handled, like you go to Walmart. I'm handling it for you, okay?
Okay.
Hopefully we'll go through a good cut process, cutting down, we can find the money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope we can have that discussion as well.
Right.
Challenging times. Challenging times.
And for your customer service department, we updated the personnel cost to reflect full staffing for the customer service and utility billing supervisor and 2 customer service representatives. We increased the amount for postage to $26,200 based on the estimated increases from the postal service, and there are no capital outlay requests at this time for this department.
Any questions for customer service?
I have none.
I have none, maybe comment.
Go ahead.
I don't think you got a lot to cut. Just a little bit. And welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Good to see you back. I have no other questions.
You have anything for us? Okay.
Thank you.
It's not gonna be this easy every time.
All right, so now we're moving on to item 3.
We have to, yesterday we talked about the office at Edgewood, but we did not talk about the mobile home park. So that needs to be added to this agenda.
You should have the attachment there next to your binder.
Which department are we working on?
The mobile home park.
Mobile home park.
Okay. Okay, for your mobile home park, your main source of revenue for your mobile home park is interest earned on investments from the sale of the mobile home park. That's estimated at $169,050 in 2026. And this is a slight reduction of about 0.4% compounded monthly for the year because interest rates are expected to decrease during the next fiscal year. We've budgeted to use some reserves in the mobile home park in the amount of $261,910 so that the whole amount in your mobile home park can be transferred to the general fund to balance it out. $430,960 to be transferred from the city mobile home park to help balance your general fund. Now, along with that, I had a couple of recommendations. One being that the city should adopt a formal fund balance usage policy, not just for the mobile home park, but citywide for each of your funds. This could include things like how you spend the proceeds for large asset sales, like your city mobile home park, thresholds for using reserves, eligible uses, how you expect to replenish those reserves over time once they've been used. A lot of times in a fund balance policy, you'll also see that the city would say, we're not going to go below a certain amount of months in operating expenditures and reserves. So a best practice is to have at least 2.5 months in reserves to pay for operating expenses should something happen. So these are the types of things that you could include in that policy. It's also recommended when you're considering setting your fund balance policies, that you consider whether or not you can follow the policy when you set the policy. Because that's one of the things that your auditors will test during their audit. If you do set a policy, are you following that policy? And if you are unable to follow the policy at that time, then you would want to put in language about how you expect to be able to bring your reserve usage up to that standard when you're trying to implement that, instead of implementing a policy that you're unable to follow right out of the gate. So just something to think about with that. In addition to that, the general fund needs to consider other, revenue sources such as additional grants, reducing expenditures as you can in certain departments to be able to minimize the need of needing transfers from other funds. Now, I know the mobile home park sale proceeds are supposed to be used only at the direction of the commission, so I wanted to make sure that you're aware that that was put in to balance your general fund at this time.
No, so my question is, this amount, 430,960, is that the remaining amount of money in that account? Is that what that is? That's the total amount?
That's what you need to balance your general fund. It's not the total amount that you have left in reserves. That's just the amount that your general fund needed in order to balance. Now, that's not the full amount that it was short. There is an additional amount that it was short to be paid for from reserves in your general fund. So it's a joint effort to get that fund balanced, because it's my understanding that only the requests that were submitted were just bare bones. So if everything that was submitted was exactly what they need, there was just not enough revenues to balance the fund, even at bare minimum.
Brianna, sometime back, and we originally had the down payment on the purchase of the mobile home park, and a protected fund of some kind drawing interest. I think we had deemed towards the fire department or something, interest to go get. And then there was decided not too awful long back to move that money that was in the protected account of some kind. I don't remember which it was. Move it to the general fund. Is that short?
That decision was made last year,
Right.
and I believe the city manager at the time, your city manager, had requested that. I don't know the details surrounding the request, but it was done last fiscal year in 2024.
I couldn't remember if it was. Thought it might have been the end of Mr. Burke's tour. It could have been Drum Doe or Dean.
It was Burke.
I believe it was
Burke.
Burke, but
That's what I
I'm
thought.
not positive, but I believe it was.
Has that money been spent? How much was it at that time?
$217,000.
I would have to go back to look at your meeting documents. I would have to lean on your clerk to pull that far back. I just can't recall.
Yeah.
Sound like we kind of know.
Yeah, I think it was, I think we went over it when we reviewed the fire and rescues line items. I think it was $217,000.
I know it was over 200,000.
Over 200, I know that. And I just like to see it go to now,
So the question I have is, what type of transfer that was? And then what is the, what's in the account?
Yeah.
How is it accruing? Those are the type, yes, those are the type questions I have. Because I just want to dispel different things. It was multiple things said around it, but
You know, I haven't looked at the issue because I think it has to do with revenue coming in. You know, Brianna talked about, we budget 95% of what we think we're going to get. A lot of times you get over 100%. I'm not so sure you're even getting the 95%. Or people overspent their budgets in previous years. And so if you start looking at the rollback rate is just a calculation. But it tells us, it is something that tells us something. So previous years, your rollback rate exceeded your current millage rate, which tells me that you spent more money
We
than
did.
what you bought in.
Yes, we did.
Okay? And
Confirm that.
I don't know how that happened. I wasn't here. But there were budget amendments made to try to balance the budget. Okay? And it depends on when things occurred. So if for example, this brush truck was done after they did the budget amendment, I can see how someone could say that the money was moved. But normally when you do a budget amendment, you show what the
Each
amendment, the item, what's being amended, like, personnel, operations maintenance, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I think I understand it, but I'd like because Brianna was the former finance director. She can really help us understand what happened. So Brianna, go ahead.
So are you wanting me to speak about the brush truck issue specifically, or which
This
issue?
200 and
Yeah, so
this $200,000.
The original transfer.
So-
The general fund.
I wasn't the finance director. Yeah, I wasn't the finance director at the time. So all I can recall was, what I had, heard from the actual meeting, and don't quote me because it's been
Yeah.
some time,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I don't have notes on that. I just know historically, when you guys sold the mobile home park, you did have a desire that that money was to be restricted and that it was only supposed to be used for certain purposes. Now, was all of the money made unrestricted at some point? We would have to go back in your meeting minutes with the clerk to determine what decisions were actually made, because the commission is the only body within the city that can restricted money, and that's if it's not restricted by state statute. That
Right.
sales proceed, that wouldn't be restricted by state statute. So only you all could say, we're gonna unrestrict, X dollars or the whole amount or whatever. But, once it's restricted, you're the only ones that can lift that. So that would have to be in the meeting minutes. We would have to go back and
It
research
was
that.
in the meeting.
And see, this is why memory is so bad for you guys, because and I hate to make some statements here, but I am, because I think you need to hear it. Okay, this is exactly why you guys have to pay attention to the things that are important. See, like if you're paying attention to the line items, you miss how many employees we have working here. You miss, well, was it more personnel costs, or was it operations, or are we invested properly? Do we have a reserve account? Why don't we? These are the things you miss because you're spending time on this mobile home transfer. Okay. And now it's helping me based on what she's saying. It's helping me better understand the dilemma we're in right now. Okay. But this process needs to change. Okay. Your budget process. This is what you've done, and it's great if Commissioner Watts has been here a while. This is the way they've done it, but it could be right there on the screen, and we can have it so in big numbers that you know exactly what the organization looks like. Trevor, and these folks, but I don't know them, and anyone should be able to come off the street and be able to see clearly who's in the organization, org chart, right? Number of positions that were authorized by the commission. These are things that we need to work on, okay? And I think we need to change it. And I think that we can have, I call it the abridged version, this, in the back as an appendix. So if someone wants to see the detail, they can go to the back of the book and see exactly how much Howard Brown made. So you guys can know what you really need to know. And because there's been a number of conversations. One is about a position that wasn't approved by the city commission, right? That I'm like, well, how's that happen in the city? Well, I think you did approve it. I believe that it was probably in a budget amendment that you approved. Now, I don't need to go back because I'm not going into history because I don't care about history. I only care about what's going on now in the future. Okay. So you see how you guys may have approved a budget amendment that approved the position or approved the money for whatever they were going to use the money for.
I'm confused about the position part.
Me too. I mean, we're talking about it right now. She just talked
No,
about.
but I'm saying, where did it come up about confusion about approving a position?
I don't know. Did you hear Brianna earlier say something about there? We having internal discussions about a position. I think it's the one that Gloria is talking about. That apparently was in a different department. And my concern is that the city manager can move a position from anywhere in the city that he or she wants it because of what goes on in the city. As long as the commission has approved that position. You see? So you pay attention to the stuff you need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And right now, you got 62 FTEs. Now, of that 62 FTEs, some of them are part-time. But at least you have an exact idea of how many positions or how many FTEs. It's a good number, These are the kind of things we need to pay attention to because all this, the details here, that's good. We can do that. If you have questions, individual questions, that's what we should use the budget session for. Like, well, how do we, like, for example, I'd like to make a motion that we approve a 3% reduction across the board. Like, hey, wait a minute, we'll come back with what that looks like. If you guys say 3%, I would tell you that we would try. We'd come back, but I'm against across the board cuts. I think they do more damage than anything. What we're doing right now, what you're hearing from Brianna, is that we're reducing contingency or even eliminating contingency. Where did you do that at? So these are things that we need to look at. The policy on the reserves, it depends on what city you're in. Because you got the GFOA saying 3 months. I heard Brianna say 2.5 months. You got them saying 25% should be restricted to reserves. But there are cities that can't do it. Just can't do it. Physically cannot do it. And if they do it, it affects other real things that you see. So we need to go about this. We need to look at targeted cuts, and I think the staff is trying to do that. But we're staffed. And sometimes we need direction because if you let us do it, guess what? You'd never see a reduction. Okay, that's your job.
That's
So
right.
you have to inform us, and we need to know from you where we could cut or without hurting the organization. So it's not an issue whatsoever. It's just a matter of having a conversation, having these budget meetings, and talking about it. Because people hear you when you say cuts. I don't think Brianna's forced it down your throats, but there are cuts happening. It's just in different places. You probably just need to point them out where we're doing it. City attorney cut her budget $20,000. I think it could go down a little bit lower. Okay, but what we've had is a rise in other areas, and you know what those areas are. I have to talk about them, but when there is exposure to potential litigation, that number rises. Right now, you're in that season, so that number is higher, but that number's not going to always be that high. But right now it is. Okay, so we got to look at all this. All of it.
Yeah, but to be clear, what I'm asking about is a specific transaction that took place that I don't have the clarity on, and that's what I want. I want the clarity on what took place and what it was supposed to do, and then what's remaining in that particular account. Because if it was restricted, and that was prior to me being on this commission, and then the commission that I joined at some point restricted some of the funds, it wasn't supposed to be something that was automatic to give us money every single time until we deplete the account. So that's what I need. I need that understanding. It'll help me make the decision I need to make.
We will.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank
We
you.
can't do it tonight. And the reason why is because whoever did this is not here right now.
Correct.
Okay, they no longer work for the organization. Jennifer has history here, but she wasn't here when this actually happened. I think the chief is the only person that's been here.
I think she was here.
Oh, she was here.
She was.
Okay, well, maybe you can answer this question then, so.
I just been waiting.
It wasn't very nice.
If not, I can fill you in.
Okay.
If my memory serves me correct, I do believe, the previous assistant city manager approved for a transfer to be made to the fire department for one fiscal year. The next year, there was another transfer approved, and then Mr. Burke asked for a budget amendment to be approved from the city mobile home park. So my recollection is 3. I am not sure, I spoke with, Matt about it yesterday or Monday, about the second. The first one was 220, the second one was 217,000. And I'm just not sure, I was gonna get with Brianna about it, if the second one has physically been done.
Gotcha.
So that's how I remember it happening.
Right. And those funds were from the interest earned
Correct.
from the sale of the mobile home park. The amount that was set into a restricted fund was the overall sale of the mobile home park, which I think it was 4.5.
I think it was the original down payment.
Right. So
It's in the restricted fund.
not the down payment, the sale of the mobile home park. The money that we earned from that was put in a restricted account to not be touched in a CD of some sort. But the interest that we earned from the sale is what we physically took hold of and transferred to fire rescue. Now, whether that was to be on an annual basis or not, I do not recall us agreeing to that being on an annual basis.
Question that Matt, the fire chief, I'm sorry, that is the question that he found.
Right. I do not recall us agreeing to that being on an annual basis. I do recall us approving for it to be done for that particular fiscal year to help the fire and rescue with their funds because they were falling short. People were quitting and they needed to hire people.
Yeah.
So I do recall that. I do not recall us, my memory serves me pretty good, that we agreed for it to be recurring. Okay? So that I know for sure.
I do remember the back came in half for they get what was left in the fund to be transferred to the general fund.
That was my understanding also, it was just for that 1 year. I mean, I thought that's what we voted on.
And that's what me and Matt are trying to figure out. That's what I was gonna get with Brianna about to see if the second transfer that Matt is under the impression was supposed to happen, if it really happened. Physically happened.
Well, here's what I'm gonna say. Let's
There
look
was
at
a
the minutes.
transfer to fire.
Oh, there was a transfer to fire.
Yeah, she did. We talked about this
Yes,
when we
it
did this
is.
thing.
Once
It
or twice.
occurred.
Yeah, $217,000.
I'm going into fire right now. So
I know it was transferred.
So we just need to find out if there's every year.
Correct. That is the question.
there's a $217,000 transfer from the mobile home park in the budget that you're in right now
Yes.
that that is being transferred to the fire department, and that was in your approved budget for the year you're in now for 2025.
Yes.
There was a $3,002 transfer in 2024 in your actual activity. I'm not sure if that was a budgeted transfer or not, but it occurred. I would have to go back further in the financials to see if it happened any more than that, but I know those 2 transfers for sure.
So Brianna, I mean, maybe I'm missing something. It sounds like it sounds like the revenue didn't come in, right?
From the interest.
Right. So
Revenue didn't come in.
So I went back 5 years while we were talking just now, and there was one last year for fiscal year 2024 for $3,002 from the mobile home park to fire. That is in your draft audit, so that occurred. And the year that you're in now, you have budgeted $217,000 from the mobile home park to help balance your fire fund budget, and that was in your original budget that you adopted for 2025. Those are the only transfers to fire from mobile home park for the last 5 years.
Yeah, I don't recall the third one.
So Maria was not here last year, so I do remember specifically Maria asked for a transfer. So maybe the first one was asked, approved, and didn't happen?
Well, we should know. I mean, I'm sure the clerk can go back. to the
She said she
minutes.
went back 5 years and it was not
Well,
done.
the clerk can go back to the minutes.
Oh, so the clerk went to the minutes and, no, Brianna is saying she.
Brianna.
She went back in the
Financial
system.
system as well.
Yeah, she went back 5 years and she only saw 2.
But
Okay.
we need to know in the minutes what happened.
Yes.
And once we know that, now, that's gonna take some time, right? Because it's not electronic, right?
Yeah, well, I do know because I was here.
Okay. Okay. But I mean,
And
I mean, here's what I think we need to see it. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Because here's what's happening. I'm getting folks walk up to me and have these long conversations about detailed items. I'm not used to that. It's not proper. Okay. It's not professional. Okay. It's happening here in this town. Okay. And I know you ever played that game called telephone. It can be distorted by the time it gets to you.
It always
And
is.
and I know it's dangerous. I've worked in small towns all over the country, and I know that we our response is, I'll just tell them. No, you're not going to just tell me. Right now we're trying to do a budget here, and we don't have time to get it wrong. She needs to look at the minutes to confirm or add to what Brianna's saying, because the financial system, that's just one leg of the stool here. The minutes, I don't know if they're verbatim or not. That's the other part of it. There's action minutes, right?
Pretty much.
They don't have details, just it says.
But there are
motion was made.
recordings. There are recordings.
So that's what I'm saying. It might take time. And I think you're the one that really wants this to run this to ground, right? You want this run to ground. I'm saying that this might not be able to happen tomorrow.
Oh, I'm okay. I need to get the understanding as to what it is,
Okay,
happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree that we do this, okay? And we'll task the clerk to do it and get back with the entire council about what she discovers, okay?
Yes.
Well, I'm concerned with this, and I'm also concerned that was the 217 with the physical in 24-25, I believe, and we've still got 430,000 to balance the general fund transfer.
Well, it sounds like it's revenue. It sounds like revenue didn't come in.
That's what we
Revenue
gotta find
projections.
out. That's what we gotta find
Well,
out.
we know. We know if we budgeted 95% of what we thought we were gonna get and we didn't get it, that's what happened, I think. And so, Brianna, maybe you can shed some light on what the commissioner just said.
Shed some light on, I'm sorry, I missed your
On the
question.
$438,000 deficit that he's looking at, he wants to know, well, if the transfer was made, why is the fund still short? And I think the fund is short because the revenue didn't come in, right?
So you have 2 funds in your fiscal year 2026 budget that are far from balancing. Those are your general fund and your fire fund. Your general fund was needing, I'm going back to the numbers here that we were talking about a few minutes ago. So your general fund required a transfer in from the mobile home park of the 430,960 plus using general fund reserves of 485,545 to balance general fund. That leaves one remaining fund in 2026 unbalanced, which is your fire fund. And the fire fund was short the 438,364.
Yeah.
So those,
Brianna.
but these two are notoriously, hard to balance in the city.
And that's because of expenses probably that were
Oh,
unbudgeted expenses,
Yes,
right? Because if they were budgeted, they were balanced
Mhm.
and a function of revenue.
yes.
So that means that the revenue that was forecasted did not come into play, and that they had unbudgeted expenses, and that tracks with the rollback of what has occurred previous years here. You spent more than what,
What we brought
you
in.
know, and I don't know if it's grand or whatever, but I'm just saying that it's just a calculation that says it's straightforward.
Brittany, what was the, general fund, the 439.60, then the, general fund, plus the general fund of 485, something?
585.
The general fund millage rate you were asking?
No, the, additional balance. We got a draw from the, mobile home fund.
Reserves,
Yeah.
yes. So it is $485,545 from general fund reserves.
Okay.
$430,960 from mobile home park, transfers.
Right.
And that's in addition to your other transfers in, so, altogether, you're having to bring in $2,360,152 in non-operating revenues to balance your general fund budget. And right now, the only way we can balance your general fund budget, even with all of that money, is to balance it based off of your proposed millage rate at 9.45%, which is not what we originally wanted to do. But right now, we cannot bring that down unless we either find other revenue sources or find other places to cut expenditures. But, you know, across the board, I was told no one submitted anything unless they really needed it. And some of the expenses are not able to come down for certain reasons, like inflation, that has nothing to do with your staff, just that the goods that they need to do their job just cost more money right now. Everybody's feeling that. And inflation has caused a rise in expenditures across many different areas over the last, couple of years. So some of the cuts that they may be able to make may be reasonable, but some of them may not be. As Mr. Brown was saying, saying we're going to cut 3% across the board. Well, that may not be realistic, because if we're not actually able to reduce the expenditures by that amount, we wouldn't want to reduce the budget to balance it, at 3% across the board, unless we can actually achieve that.
Well, we need to find out how we got to this point.
No, I'm saying,
So we're broke.
okay, here's what I'm gonna ask Brianna. Do you know what the rollback rate was?
Yes, I have it. Let me pull it up.
Now, depending on what that is, to tell you, it's just a calculation, but it gives you an indicator of what occurred the previous year.
So your current year rollback rate was 8.1502.
8.1.
1.5.
So that means that we gotta look at some things, man.
Yep.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, and
Because I thought that would be much higher, yes, than the 8.500.
That's what I've been so alarmed.
And it could be grant, it could be whatever. I don't know what it is, but I think that's what it is. It's a lot of grant money that came in that's been spent that could be inflating things, but it's not real. It could be lower, but the calculation's gotta be higher because it's based on the grant that you got, the grant money you got. So.
yeah, well, I mean, it's not new to me that we've been running in the negative. We've been running in the negative, I'll be frank with you, for the past 3 to 4 years.
Yes.
So this isn't
It could be longer than that.
startling.
It could be longer than that.
And we discovered through our audits that there had been funds transferred, there had been money spent checks being written without us knowing that we had the money available. That's how we got here, Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
To be frank with you, that's how we got here. And there were a lot of rubber stamping going on.
Yeah. Well,
And
you
so
know,
we got here a long time ago.
well, let's talk for a minute. I want to ask Brianna, how much did the property tax base go up over last year?
Okay, let's find out.
Because some cities were able to balance the books based on the
And
properties
we didn't.
getting appraised, the assessments.
And we didn't.
And I suspect that it's flat or it's flat.
Your current year, gross taxable value is $220,504,935. Your prior year gross taxable value was $200,530,564, and the increase there is 10%, an increase in property values. I do apologize, I do have to leave the meeting at this time, but I do have my notes pulled up and I can regroup with you all in the morning, but you did have a 10% increase in gross taxable value this year.
Thank you, Brianna.
Thank you very much, Bree.
You're welcome.
All right, so we'll go back and we'll look. But I think it's just expensive, and it's got to be related to the grants. That's not real. That's one-time money. It's not forever. So,
And we did have a lot of, I would say, unexpected expenses in our utilities, in our streets and water.
That's right.
We did have a lot of huge capital improvement
Right.
projects that we were trying to, because they were emergencies.
No, I understand. And I think
And
that's
so-
what's inflated.
Yes, yes.
And it's not uncommon for a town of your size to have flat growth, because I can name 3 counties right now that it was so much money that the taxpayers were asking to be refunded the money. 10% is not a lot in what we see in most cities. It's just in rural towns, like when I was in Pensacola area, same thing. Same things happen. Same things happen. Same things happen. Okay, so Mary, did you get your question answered? I think you did, right?
Yes.
Okay. And we will. Did you have something, Vice Mayor?
No, I was just praying, sitting here praying for no hurricane this year.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're gonna be in bad
Well,
shape. We
well,
are in bad shape.
Well, listen, the good thing about it is that Chapter 252 of the Florida statutes requires counties to be responsible for emergency management. Okay, so it's just a matter of us going and sitting in the EOC and paying our guys overtime, which fully FEMA reimbursable. We probably need to check to make sure that our disaster debris removal contract is up to speed. And
I think we would tag in with the county.
oh, great! So
Yeah,
that's good.
Rock said it was.
That's good. So once you do that, then that's pretty much it. But you might not have the money to spend on overtime to that tune, because the reimbursements are not going to come in the same fiscal year. They might come 2 years from now.
2 years from now.
And so I was explaining to Amy that we might have to go get a line of credit just to be on the safe side, just to have it there as an emergency. You know?
That's what I was referring to. I knew the county
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're very
So you guys are
responsible.
in good shape. We piggybacked on the disaster debris removal contract with the county. That's good. It is what it is, guys. You know, you just gotta continue to do what you're doing. I can see that the staff didn't make recommendations that give me pause. And I mean, I think right now we need to sharpen our numbers and come back tomorrow and talk to you some more and go from there.
We won't be here tomorrow.
Yeah, you will be here tomorrow.
We canceled the meeting.
Yeah, we won't be here
Today's the
tomorrow.
20th.
Yes, sir. We won't be here tomorrow.
That's right.
But if you need me to come, just give me a call.
That's right. No, we'll get back with you. I'm gonna, I don't know if you ever heard this term called peer review. I'm gonna have somebody look at this also for free, so it won't cost y'all a dime. But that work in this space every day. And, just to give us another viewpoint. But I don't think the revenue is here. That's what I think. And I think we need to look at the expenses again. We'll go from there. Definitely go from there. Okay, Chief, there was something that happened, but I think we got an answer without the chief being here. Right? I think we got an answer.
Yes, we did.
Oh, someone called the chief in?
Good timing or bad timing, maybe.
No.
I just finished another meeting.
Okay, we're ready to go to
Yes.
item 3.
Yes, I'd like to have this item tabled until September 8th. September 9th, our regular council meeting.
Okay. I will say that request was made by Miss Pamela Clark. I didn't put them in there, but she made the request for that.
Okay.
To be tabled?
No, to be on the agenda.
Okay, gotcha.
Because that's a
Okay.
new outside agency.
Understood.
Okay.
And Jan, item 4? We don't need a,
Item 4, I've done enough talking for today.
we don't need a vote for that, the
No, sir.
table? Okay. All right, there are no other reports? I don't have a report. Do anybody up here have a report?
No.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. We got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposing? None. Motion carries.